And another way is using Zabbix. Zabbix modules can be used with Zabbix server, with Zabbix proxies, and on UNIX agents. These two ways have their certain positive and negative sides, and due to their different nature. Scripts are written in script languages, and modules are written in C. So scripts are really easy to write and modify, but they are slow and resource hungry. Modules are very fast, lightweight, because they are binary and they speak in a Zabbix native way. Just function calls. Modules are basically shared libraries, but they are notoriously hard to write, and every modification you make to your Zabbix module code makes you to recompile and restart Zabbix server. So recompile the module. You don't need to recompile Zabbix server every time. So what do you need to start coding your module? First of all, you need to decide. There are two options. You can pull the whole Zabbix source tree and then run Bootstrap if it's from a SVN repository, and then you can make use of Zabbix portable configure script. It will find all the necessary standard headers available on your system where you build. And also Zabbix configure script can find libraries where they are installed on this system. So, but if it's too much, pulling whole Zabbix code, you basically need just one header from Zabbix. It's in include module.h. But it requires patching. For example, this model is used to build a whole Zabbix, so it depends on other things. But with some small patches, you can make it independent. Basically, you need to redefine Zabbix 8-byte unsigned integer type, and instead of this sysinclude.h, where all standard headers are put by Zabbix configure script, you simply replace it by specific standard headers you need. Just to what things are needed for your Zabbix module to start working. Zabbix need to load it and recognize it as a Zabbix module. To do this, Zabbix looks for the Zabbix module API version function, and it needs to return a specific constant. In new version 3.2, we have some kind of versioning system. We will increase this constant every time we will break binary compatibility. We will try to preserve source compatibility of your module, so if you upgrade, you just need to recompile your module, not rewrite your module. But to guarantee binary compatibility between your module and different versions of Zabbix, it's better to recompile a module with a specific Zabbix version and with on the specific platform. So for version 3.2, this constant is defined as 2. So this module will compile, will be loaded by Zabbix, but it will do nothing. To make it useful, we can add some custom checks. For example, if Zabbix agent does not support some certain items on your specific exotic system, you can implement it yourself, or maybe you know how to implement it in Zabbix, but Zabbix doesn't want to review your patch. Module can be a first step to make it happen. Here are defines and all the machinery you need to implement custom checks. Zabbix metric structure defines your custom items. Agent request and agent result are used to pass some information to your module and back to Zabbix, and set something result helper defines to set actual different types of the result. Here is an implementation of simple check. It will, if you pass a parameter to it, it will greet the parameter. So I have a function. I need to define a function which will implement this check. I need to define how Zabbix will understand it. It's item name. Then I tell Zabbix that this item can have parameters. This is a function in which will do the work for this item. And this is test parameter. For example, if I run Zabbix agent with -p option, it will be used there. So Zabbix agent with my module loaded will print hello world. And here is the implementation. So here is request, here's result, where we return the check result. We use our getter param macro definition to find if there are any parameters passed to our item. If there is none, we say that there is nothing, no one to greet, and we return fail. Our check failed in this, if there are no parameters. If we have someone to greet, we greet him. And this is a result of our check. It's successful. Okay, and this was implemented in Zabbix version 2.2. In 3.2, we have extension of module functionality. Now modules can export history data and replicate history tables from Zabbix database somewhere else. What do we need from module H to do it? There are several structures. I shown just one. This exports history log information. Basically, very similar to what you get with API call to history.get. There are different structures for every type of item you can have in Zabbix. And to enable this module, you should provide one function which will return such structure where you register callback functions to export certain types of values. You say your telephone number, Zabbix says, okay, I'll call you back when I need to share some data with you. Here's how it looks like on the side of your module. You need to provide a function. Zabbix will look for this function. If it's there, history export will be enabled. And you return it. Say, I'm not, for the sake of this example, interested in float history, integer history, on any kind of textual information. I'm just interested in log items. And then comes implementation. I implement my callback function where I simply iterate through history array of history log structures and do something with item ID, clock, nanoseconds, value, source, log event ID, and all the other fields. For example, I can put it down into CSV file for storage, or I can compose a bulk insert into some external storage like InfluxDB, Cassandra, Logstash, you name it. And if you want to go farther than that, you can do it. All standard UNIX C features are available. You can use shared memory, semaphores, sockets, pipes, forks, files, etc. So basically, in module initialization function, you can fork a separate process which will deal with connection to your database, and all history syncers will pass history data to this process, and then it will be sent somewhere else to make it more efficient. You can implement anything you want if you invest enough time. So now we need to build the module. If we are building inside Zabbix source tree, we copy our module source to specific directory, source modules, and run compilation there. We provide compiler flags to make a position-independent code, and we make a shared library, and it will be named mymodule.so, shared library. If you build outside, it's even simpler, provided that module.h is in the same path as your module code. Basically the same commands. And to start using your module, you need to edit your configuration file so that Zabbix knows where your modules are and what they are. And you can specify any number of modules you want. And then you need to restart Zabbix daemon to make these changes happen. Then you go to frontend and choose your create your custom items. If you loaded module for Zabbix server or proxy, you use simple check items. For agent, you need to choose Zabbix agent or Zabbix agent active. And if you implemented history export, you just need to implement this function and callbacks, and it will work automatically. Again, you can load any number of modules, and Zabbix will share history data with all of them. So, what to do next? If you are proud of your module, please share it on sharezabbix.com. If you are looking for a way to extend the module but don't want to code yourself, you can probably go to sharezabbix.com and find a module of your dream there. If you fail to find a module of your dream, you can contact Zabbix sales, and probably we can help with development. So I guess it leads me to a conclusion. What should you do next? Take your Zabbix and add some modules.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Yes, please.
Xavier Schneider from Natixis, France. Sorry for my accent. I have two questions. First of all, have you already done a survey to know which customers is using modules already? And
I'm aware at least of one customer who is using module to monitor Jolokia Java services, interface for Java applications through HTTP.
The second question is, developing in C is very, very hard for teams. Have you foreseen in your roadmap to have the same thing with Java? Because Java is most popular than C, and many developers could write some code in Java. So Java for us will be very, very easy to develop.
Thank you for your question. Actually, there is a third way between scripts and modules. It's certain, you write a very simple glue code in C, And this module will be imported by Zabbix, and then this module can start, for example, an interpreter for Python, like Vladimir Logov is doing, or there are bindings for Go language done by Ryan Armstrong. So it's doable. So you just very little C code, and probably there are already existing bindings with different other languages, not just C. It will be a compromise between speed and performance and ease of development.
Hey, to keep in line, I'll have two questions as well. First question, what major features would you say are currently not available to the module authors, for example, the collector, or maybe some other things which might be useful? And the second question, are there any specific plans to convert the current default Zabbix items into loadable modules?
There is current focus on modularity in Zabbix, so perhaps we can implement built-in items as modules. We can probably separate the Java gateway into module to load it into Zabbix server proxy or agent. Probably we can also implement value cache using, reading history from database into value cache through modules, so we are not tightly bound to database for history tables. And probably I would like to see trigger functions implemented in modules. This would add a new level of flexibility.
Hey, sorry, but just to clarify, the first question was on what current features might not be available to the module authors that are available, let's say, to the built-in items. The running collector, maybe? I'm not sure about that, for example.
Do you mean internal structures of Zabbix?
The collector process and the agent, which is
shared memory, caches, and everything else.
So there's a kind of short list somewhere.
Technically, you can implement this. You can access caches from your module if your Zabbix daemon is built with -r dynamic compiler option, but this is not supported at all. No guarantees are provided by Zabbix team because sometimes we need to change internal structure to fix bugs, and this will break your module. This is not supported, but you can do it if you follow development process very closely and know what you're doing.
So that sounded like don't do it, like behind the lines. Okay,
contact Zabbix sales and we'll do it for
sort
you
of, yeah.
better.
And regarding the other modules, you mentioned triggers and value cache and other things which are very nice, but what about the built-in items and moving them into loadable modules like the agent items like file system monitoring, process monitoring? One reason why this would be very helpful is that it would allow to disable some items. For example, the file system reading items or file reading items might be considered a security problem in some environments, and currently disabling them is rather painful.
On the other hand, it will probably make deployment process more complicated because you don't need just one binary, but you need one binary for agent and modules for different checks. But it's an option. Yeah.
I would like to add something about the glue code before, so it would be nice if Zabbix could provide some glue code for the modules as example for Java and Python and then say the three most common languages. I think this would really help in the development of modules, so not everyone has to reinvent the wheel again. Thank you.
Good idea. I think there are existing code, but written by community, probably we need to advertise it better in our documentation. I guess people who write modules are here. For Python, for Go, we can discuss it afterwards.
Hello. Looking around at an official roadmap of Zabbix, I saw a module for sending history data
Yes, that's
inside Zabbix 3.2. Okay. Is done?
Yes.
Could you give to us some information about this module? Is possible?
That's not actually a module, it's an interface for writing modules to export data. I had written some modules for testing, but these are just simple ones, so I don't know, probability will provide some information whether we plan to publish them or not.
Okay.
So if we publish, we promise to support it, and probably
More detail, okay.
we need some more time to make such statement.
Okay. Thank you.